welcome. So it's Friday, March 25th, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update about what's going on. There are literally 2 weeks left before the legislators in Springfield leave and say we're done with our work this year. So what are they doing? What's happening down there? Well, one thing that they decided to tackle right up front was what to do with the unemployment insurance fund. As many have known, as we've reported before, and if you've been reading and following this story, Illinois borrowed an enormous amount of money in the wake of the COVID lockdowns just to provide unemployment funds for people here in the state of Illinois. Now, they owe the federal government $4.5 billion on this fund, and they hadn't paid it back yet. And nobody was doing anything about it. And in the meanwhile, we were accumulating literally millions of dollars in interest charges. Now, the Democrats wanted to ask their fellow friend Democrats up at the congressional level to just, abate those. Just don't even charge us the interest fees on there, rather than doing the right thing, which is to pay back the $4.5 billion that we owe. Well, just this week, just yesterday in the Senate and then in the House, they passed SB 2803 to handle the unemployment insurance fund. But what did they do? They didn't handle it entirely. In that bill, they only pay back $2.7 billion of the $4.5 billion that they owe. Now, the $4.5 billion that they owe is just money that they owe the federal government. If you actually wanted to restore the unemployment fund to have about $1 million in there, you're still dramatically short by just paying $2.7 billion off to the feds. So what are they going to do? Well, in a WirePoints article, they literally tackle this entire issue. In that article, let's see here. It's called What Illinois Incompetence Looks Like, the State's Unemployment Insurance Fiasco, and it's written by, and they lay out all the facts. They say that Illinois received billions in federal COVID aid, right? And that they had more than enough chances to pay off the $4.5 billion, and that 31 states in the country used their COVID aid to fully repay their debts to the federal government. But Illinois, of course, did not. And, of course, Governor Pritzker's Deputy Governor Andy Menard promised that the governor had a plan to pay this back and to fix things. They haven't done it yet. So now business and labor are at an impasse on how to replenish the fund. Illinois, according to WirePoints, is stuck paying millions in interest costs to the federal government. And new federal and state deadlines will punish this state even more than currently we're being punished. So what did they do? Well, they decided to pass 2803 to pay this down. The problem is that they're short dramatically. And what are they going to do in the future? We don't know. But right now, we do know that if they fail to replenish this fund, and they should be using the ARPA funds, then what does this mean? This means that Illinois businesses will be left with a major tax hike and Illinoisans with fewer jobs. That's what it means in the end for failure to pay it back. Now, the other thing about SB 2803, the other thing that it did is that it appropriated funds to also the pension funds. That's another thing that they did. They said, well, we're going to put some more money into the pension funds. We're going to put some more money into retiree health care, for which we have saved no money whatsoever. We're going to do some stuff there. The other thing they did, and this is really something that absolutely drives me crazy, is they decided to put $250 million, that's $250 million, into the Illinois Prepaid Tuition Fund. Now, this fund has been a problem for a while. And when I was a state legislator, I spoke about this on the state floor, because back then, they actually had to suspend new entrants into the prepaid tuition plan. And Chicago Tribune wrote a very, very good detailed article on this. I'm going to read a portion of it to you, because it's really important for you guys to understand that regular taxpayers who never had the ability to even pay in to a prepaid tuition plan are now going to be basically bailing out other people that have paid into the prepaid tuition plan, but have not paid in sufficient amounts of money, nor have gotten sufficient amounts of investment returns to make the plan actually do what it's supposed to do. Because the plan was put in place to say, well, if you start putting in money now when your child is 1 or 2 years old, by the time they go to college, they'll have enough money in this prepaid tuition plan to be able for you to not have to worry about it. The state will be on the hook to pay the tuition at that point. That was the whole plan's design. And the whole plan's design was to put in some money now so that in the future with investment returns, all of the money is saved up and you can not have to worry about tuition in the future. That is exactly what did not happen in this case. The plan has not met its investment targets, and instead taxpayers, regular taxpayers who never paid into the fund, are now going to be bailing out other people's college education. It is outrageous, and the bad thing is we knew this 5 years ago. Actually, we knew this 12 years ago. Listen to this article. For the second time in 7 years, Illinois' prepaid, this is written in 2017, by the way, December 6, 2017, Chicago Tribune article. For the second time in 7 years, Illinois' prepaid tuition program has stopped accepting new participants because it does not have the money to fulfill its projected obligations. The program, called College Illinois' Prepaid Tuition Program, allows parents to pay tuition toward a state university in advance as a hedge against rising tuition. But parents have been shunning the program recently. Only 450 new participants signed up during the most recent fiscal year, compared with 4,392 contracts from 2006 to 2007. In total, the program has about 38,000 contracts, a significant decline from about 52,000 in 2012. The result has been a darkening financial picture. This is a Ponzi scheme like no other Ponzi scheme. From 2016 to 2017, the unfunded liabilities for the program grew from about $264 million to roughly $320 million, according to a report filed in June. That meant the program dropped from being nearly 80% funded to 74%. During a General Assembly Higher Education Appropriation Committee hearing in August, the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, which oversees College Illinois, put new enrollments on hold for the 2017 to 2018 fiscal year. It's unclear when or if the program will open up to new enrollments. Officials from the commissions are in talks with lawmakers about ways to close in on the unfunded liability, but Baker declined to detail the options the commission is considering. The state, here's the kicker. The state is under no obligation to pay anything toward fulfilling commitments made by College Illinois. If the prepaid tuition program is permanently shut down, beneficiaries who are enrolled or will enroll in a college or university within 5 years of when the program shuts down will receive the benefits of the contract, according to the program's fiscal reports. But all other beneficiaries will receive a refund from their contract and any accrued interest, according to the report. That's what should be happening. We shouldn't be pushing $250 million into this program that cannot keep up with costs, cannot be invested properly. We should be refunding people and only paying out those beneficiaries within 5 years of matriculation into a college. This is outrageous that once again, and having known 5 years ago that the thing was bankrupt, and even 12 years ago when they had to shut down the program before, why we're continuing this program is an outrage. It's an absolute outrage to normal taxpayers, ordinary taxpayers like me, like my friends, like other people that you know, who have never paid into these prepaid tuition funds. Why are we bailing out other kids' college educations? That's what this is. It's a bailout for other kids' college educations. I find it just outrageous. Of course, it's buried in a bill that ostensibly helps us pay back the federal government the unemployment insurance funds that we owe, and ostensibly also supports the pension systems that are underfunded and retiree health care that's underfunded. But honestly, it's all just one more additional scam against taxpayers. Shut the program down. I just cannot even believe that this is happening again. 5 years ago, we had this full debate on this entire thing in the State House, and yet here we are again, finding ourselves bailing out another program that the state should have never been involved in to begin with. I just, the idea that we're going to invest for other people's future is crazy. It's just crazy. You can't trust the state with your money. You cannot trust Illinois with your money. You know it. And yet now taxpayers are on the hook for the mismanagement of this. I'm appalled. I'm appalled. And I just wanted to come on live and tell you about that bill. But I've got another one. I got another doozy for you. This is SB 3930. And I'm also appalled that it went out of the Senate 55-0. That means not a single senator voted against this. And this bill, sounds good, looks good, but but this is what the bill does. It sets up a border community COVID-19 mitigation grant program through the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. So they're going to create a grant program subject to appropriation, and these grants shall only be provided to businesses and municipalities located geographically close to bordering states. So this is all about COVID-19 mitigations. We know what happened if you were in a bordering community. Let's say you're very close to St. Louis, or you're very close to the Indiana border. Many of you decided to, during COVID, when we were completely locked down and masked up, many of you decided to just go across the border to shop, go to church, dine out, catch a movie, you name it, because you just want to live under normal circumstances. Now, many of you are still going across the border simply to buy gas at a lower cost because, of course, we have the second highest gas tax. So in their wisdom, this is really late, in their wisdom, they have set up a grant program that's only available to bordering businesses and municipalities. I can't even believe that the Senate, not a single senator voted against this garbage bill. I mean, how about us sitting here in the suburbs? We're not considered to be on a border. We're not on a border. And yet, by the way, a large amount of the income taxes that are paid to the state of Illinois and would help provide these grants come from us, come from the suburbs. That's just the truth. That's where a lot of the wealth is. And we're going to, instead of make the entire state an economic zone of opportunity, and make us more like our neighboring states in terms of economic opportunity and taxes and everything else. No, instead, we're going to just help the municipalities on the border because we have screwed up our economy so badly in the state of Illinois that we're basically trying to buy votes on the border for people in an election year. I mean, it's another really, really stupid bill. Now, this bill is up in the House. If you're listening to me live, contact your legislator and ask them to vote no on this bill. It is more than likely going to be on the House floor today because Senate bills have to come off of the House today. Today's the final day for Senate bills coming out of the House. So I encourage you to call your legislator and tell them to vote against SB 3930. SB 3930. Terrible bill. Now another little update on some taxes. This came up because I was at a Lisle Township Republican meeting earlier this week. Now apparently there's a potential push to put a referendum on the ballot in the June election to create a mental health board. Well, as you know, we fought this in April of 2021 for the Milton Township, and that bill, even though we had defeated it on election day, vote by mail came in, and with about 200 votes to spare, they did put in a mental health board in Milton Township. So I want to give you a little bit of an update. If you remember correctly, a mental health board can levy a rate of 0.15. And when we looked at this mental health board going into place, Breakthrough Ideas, did the math. I called to the assessor and I said, what does that mean? How much do you currently spend on Milton Township operations? Well, the truth is Milton Township operations were at a rate of 0.0409. So at a rate of 0.15, a mental health board would actually be a 350% increase in your overall property tax levy for just the township. So it was an outrageous increase for creating a brand new program that we argued, and I think argued correctly, is redundant and not appropriate for a township to take care of. If you want to handle mental health services, you do that through private pay. You do that through the state government. You do that through the federal government. You do that through Medicaid programs, for example. You do not put it as a line item on a property tax bill that will never come off. That is the wrong way to fund mental health services. And by the way, in DuPage County and in fact Milton Township, we also made the argument that just about 5 years ago, we built a state-of-the-art a mental health institution that's located at the county facility. So it's not about not caring about those with mental health issues. It's about funding it appropriately and with the right mechanisms. So fast forward, the Milton Township Mental Health Board did go into place. They assigned people to that board. I think in July, they finally figured it all out. And in December, when they came time to levy, there was a fight about how much to levy. So I want to give you an update on that first before we turn to Lisle. In Milton Township, they initially wanted to levy $1.25 million for a mental health board for which they had not received any specific grant proposals from any organization that would provide the services, nor had they done a needs assessment about what needs were unfulfilled through other entities for mental health services in Milton Township. Neither one of those are done, but they wanted to levy $1.25 million. Fortunately, a couple trustees said no, but they still ended up levying $800,000 for the mental health facility. Now, when you look at it, that $800,000 represents a 25% increase in the overall levy year over year. A 25% increase in the overall levy. That's how much they taxed the Milton Township taxpayers for mental health services that they have no idea what they're doing with. 25%. So there you go. For that one line item on your property tax bill, it went up 25%. What if every line item went up like that? And by the way, you will be getting a tax increase this levy year because the Illinois Department of Revenue just put out what they said PTEL limited counties can tax at, or entities can tax at, and that's 5%. PTEL, which is a property tax limitation rate, was put into effect in the 90s to hold property taxes down. And at that point, they said you cannot tax more, you cannot levy more than 5% or the CPI rate, whichever is less. Well, for the first time in a couple decades, the CPI is over 5%. The CPI, according to the IDOR, is 7% for the year of 2021. Thank you, Joe Biden. And Democrats and Democrat voters. That's all because of you. But now they're limited to 5%, whereas before they were limited to under 2% in all the previous decade. So you're going to have a massive tax increase because your school districts will tax to the max. They always have. They're not going to stop that. So they're just going to take their 5%. Trust me, as will probably every single other entity. So you can expect a massive property tax increase this year. And then on top of it, if you put in an additional line item on your property tax bill, like why would you do that? Do you think townships are there to deliver mental health services? No, they're not the appropriate place to do it. Now to Lisle Township. Lisle Township currently has a operational rate of 0.0309. So if a mental health board can actually tax up to 0.15, you're looking at nearly a 500% potential increase in just that one line item for on your property tax bills if you're in Lisle Townships. So I'm just giving you a heads up about that these mental health boards are coming up in other places. There was also a problem apparently in Kane County. Elgin Township and Dundee Township both put in these mental health boards, but their county clerk is saying that the PTEL language was not included in the referendum. And he is saying that he's not going to levy that tax. There is currently a bill in both the House and the Senate to fix that and say, doesn't matter if you didn't have that language in properly, we're going to allow the mental health board and their levy to go in effect anyway. So this is the Democrats, when the rules are broken, it doesn't matter. We'll pass legislation to fix the rules that were broken so you don't have to go back to the taxpayers and ask again. I mean, that's exactly what they're doing. Of course, you can imagine the suburban Democrats all signed on to that bill. So that's going on. Anyway, just a short update here on a Friday. Want you to be aware of a few things. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me on this Facebook Live.